Do-hyun stared at his computer screen, not believing what he was seeing. It was 3 a.m. at the Seoul Xenobiology Research Center, and the message on his screen changed everything humanity knew about space. This has to be a joke, he said to himself, adjusting his glasses. But the official seal of the United Earth government at the top of the message told him it wasn't. Aliens had made contact, and they weren't just any aliens. They were the Galactic Council, the ruling body of most known spacefaring civilizations. Do-hyun read the message again. His hand shook as he picked up his phone to call his team. This couldn't wait until morning. 20 minutes later, his small office was packed with sleepy scientists. His assistant Yoo-jin was still wearing her pajamas under her lab coat. "I'm sorry to wake you all," Do-hyun said, standing up from his desk. "But the Galactic Council has contacted Earth. They're worried about something they've found in space." The room went quiet. Even the usual sound of the air conditioning seemed to stop. "They found what they called Deathworlds spread across the galaxy," Do-hyun continued. He clicked a button, and pictures appeared on the big screen behind him. "These are planets that most alien life forms can't survive on. And here's the strange part. They all look exactly like Earth." The pictures showed worlds with blue oceans, green forests, and white clouds. They could have been photos of Earth from space. "How many?" Yoo-jin asked, now fully awake. 17 so far," Do-hyun answered. "All with the same gravity as Earth. The same air we breathe. The same types of plants and animals. It's like someone copied Earth and scattered the copies across the galaxy." Hee-jin, their government contact, spoke up from the back of the room. "The Council is sending representatives to Earth. They want to meet with us. They think these worlds might be a threat to galactic peace." "A threat?" someone asked. "How can planets be a threat?" Hee-jin shook her head. "They won't say. But they're scared, really scared. And they want Earth's help to figure out why these worlds exist." Do-hyun looked at the pictures again. Something about this didn't make sense. If these worlds were copies of Earth, who made them? And why would anyone need 17 Earths? "When are they coming?" Do-hyun asked Hee-jin. "Tomorrow," she replied. "Their ships are already in our solar system." The room burst into excited talking. 17 years after humans first learned they weren't alone in space, the most powerful aliens in the galaxy were coming to Earth. Do-hyun sat back down at his desk. He looked at a small photo frame showing his parents. His father had always said humans were special, that Earth was special. Now it seemed there were 17 other Earths out there, waiting to be explored. His computer beeped with a new message. This one was marked Urgent, top secret. Inside was a single sentence that made his blood run cold. Initial scans showed the Deathworlds are older than Earth itself. Do-hyun looked up at his excited team, still talking about tomorrow's meeting. He decided to keep this last piece of information to himself, at least for now. If these worlds were older than Earth, then Earth wasn't the original. It was just another copy. The question was, a copy of what? And more importantly, who had made the original? Outside his window, the sun was starting to rise over Seoul. Do-hyun had a feeling this might be the last normal sunrise he would ever see. Tomorrow, everything would change. The real mystery was about to begin. The alien ship landed in an empty field outside Seoul. It looked nothing like the spaceships in movies. Instead of metal, it seemed to be made of something that changed color like soap bubbles in sunlight. Do-hyun stood with Hee-jin and his team, watching as the ship's door melted away. 2 figures stepped out. The first was tall and thin, with silver skin that sparkled in the morning light. The second was shorter and looked almost human, except for the purple scales covering its face. "I am Kita," said the silver one in perfect Korean. "This is my research partner. We are here to help investigate the Deathworlds." Hee-jin stepped forward. "Welcome to Earth. I'm the diplomatic representative, and this is our lead researcher, Do-hyun." Kaita looked at Do-hyun with eyes that changed color as they moved. "You have questions," the alien said. It wasn't a guess. Many, Du-hyun replied. But first, why do you call them Deathworlds? Because they kill most life forms in our galaxy, Kitat explained. The air is too rich in oxygen. The gravity is too strong. The plants and animals are too aggressive. Only humans seem perfectly suited for these worlds. Do-hyun shared a look with the Jin. That was interesting. We would like to show you our findings, Kita continued. May we set up our equipment? Over the next few hours, the aliens turned the empty field into a research station. They brought out machines that floated in the air and screens that appeared from nowhere. Do-hyun watched in amazement as three-dimensional maps of the galaxy filled the air around them. Here is Earth, Kita said, pointing to a blue dot. Then more blue dots lit up across the map, and here are the other Deathworlds. Do-hyun studied the map. They form a pattern, he said suddenly. Kita's skin flickered. Yes, we believe they were placed deliberately, like stepping stones across the galaxy. Stepping stones to where? Hajin asked. We don't know, Kita admitted. But we found something else, something that worried the council even more. The alien touched one of the floating machines. A new image appeared, showing dirt samples from different worlds. This is soil from Earth, Kita said, pointing to one sample. And these are from the other Deathworlds. They are exactly the same, down to the smallest bacteria. This is impossible in nature. Someone made these worlds, Do-hyun said quietly. They copied Earth. No, Kita corrected. Remember what you learned yesterday. These worlds are older than Earth. Much older. Hajin stepped closer to the images. Then Earth is the copy. Perhaps, Kita said, or perhaps there is another explanation. That is why we need your help. Will you join our investigation? Do-hyun looked at his team. They all nodded. Yes, he said. When do we start? Now, Kita replied. Pack what you need. We leave for the nearest Deathworld in 1 hour. As his team rushed to get ready, Do-hyun stayed behind with Hajin. Are we ready for this? She asked quietly. Do-hyun watched Kita's ship changing colors in the sunlight. No, he said honestly. But I don't think we have a choice. Something put these worlds here for a reason. And after billions of years, they're starting to wake up. Wake up? Hajin asked, surprised. What do you mean? But Do-hyun just pointed at Kita's soil samples. In the image, tiny dots of light were starting to move through the dirt. Whatever was hidden in these worlds, it wasn't sleeping anymore. It was getting ready. The galactic archives looked like a giant glass tree growing through space. Do-hyun pressed his face against the ship's window, trying to take in its massive size. After 3 days of space travel, they had finally arrived. Beautiful, isn't it? Kita said, standing next to him. The archives hold the history of every known civilization in the galaxy. A small ship came to meet them. Inside was Ji-won, the archives keeper. She looked human except for her completely white eyes. Her kind were chosen to keep the archives, because they could never tell lies. Welcome, Ji-won said as they docked. I hear you seek answers about the Deathworlds. Hajin stepped forward. Yes, we need to know who made them and why. Ji-won's white eyes seemed to glow. Follow me. She led them through crystal hallways filled with floating lights. Each light, she explained, held millions of years of history. Do-hyun felt very small walking among so much knowledge. They entered a round room with a ceiling that showed the galaxy spinning above them. Ji-won touched the wall, and images appeared all around them. These records are from before most current civilizations existed, she said. They tell of a great people who could build worlds. The images showed massive ships moving through space. They were changing planets, making them like Earth. Who were they? Do-hyun asked. They called themselves the Builders, Ji-won answered. They appeared suddenly, changed many worlds, and then vanished. No one knows why. Hajin pointed to one of the images. Those ships, they look familiar. Jai-1 nodded. They should. Pieces of them have been found on every Deathworld. And on Earth. Do-hyun remembered something. The lights in the soil samples. Could they be from these ships? Yes, Kita said. We believe they are tiny machines, waiting for something. Or someone. Jai-1 touched another part of the wall. A new image appeared, showing a strange writing system. This was their language, she said. For millions of years, no one could read it. But recently, we made a discovery. She looked at Do-hyun. It matches patterns found in human DNA. The room went quiet. Do-hyun felt his heart beating faster. Are you saying humans are related to these builders? Hae-jin asked. Perhaps, Jai-1 said. But there's more. The archives show that the builders were running from something. They were preparing for a war. Against what? Do-hyun asked. Jai-1's white eyes met his. We don't know. Those records were destroyed. But whatever it was, the builders thought humans would be needed to fight it. Humans? Hae-jin said in surprise. But we didn't exist then. No, Jai-1 agreed. But the builders knew you would. They planned for it. They made the Deathworlds as training grounds, preparation for what's coming. Do-hyun thought about the lights moving in the soil back on Earth, the machines in the soil. They're waking up because they sense humans are ready. Yes, Kita said. The Council fears what this means. Some think humans should be stopped before you gain the Builder's power. And what do you think? Hae-jin asked. Kita's skin flickered with colors. I think we're running out of time. The machines aren't just waking up. They're calling for help. As if to prove his point, all the images in the room suddenly changed. They showed the same message repeated over and over, now written in human languages. What does it say? Do-hyun asked, though he could already read it. Jai-1's voice was quiet. It says, they're coming back. Get ready. Back on Earth, Yoo-jin sat in her lab, staring at test results that made no sense. She had been studying human DNA samples for 3 days straight, since Do-hyun sent her the builder's language patterns from the archives. The door opened, and Do-hyun walked in. He had just returned from space, looking tired but excited. Find anything? He asked, sitting down next to her. Yoo-jin pointed to her computer screen. Look at this. Every human DNA sample I tested has the same strange pattern. It's like someone wrote a message in our genes. Can you decode it? Do-hyun leaned closer to the screen. That's the weird part, Yoo-jin said. The pattern isn't just similar to the builder's language, it is their language. They didn't just write a message in our DNA, they wrote thousands of messages. She pressed a button, and new images appeared on the screen. They showed the same pattern repeating in different ways through human DNA. What do the messages say? Do-hyun asked. Most of them are instructions, Yoo-jin explained. They tell our bodies how to survive on Deathworlds, how to breathe the strong air, handle the heavy gravity, fight off dangerous animals. The builders didn't just make the Deathworlds, they made us to live on them. Do-hyun sat back in his chair. So we're not just connected to the builders, we're their creation. More than that, Yoo-jin said. She pulled up another screen of data. Remember those machines waking up in the soil? I found the same type of machines inside human cells. They're part of us, just sleeping. What are they for? I think they're tools, Yoo-jin said. The builders left us everything they knew, everything they could do. But they locked it away in our DNA until we were ready. Do-hyun thought about the warning message from the archives. And now something's coming that needs these tools. Yes, but there's more. Yoo-jin looked nervous. The machines in our cells, they're starting to wake up too. People all over the world are reporting strange feelings, like they suddenly know how to do things they never learned. She opened her hand, and a small ball of light appeared floating above it. Do-hyun jumped back in surprise. How did you do that? He asked. I don't know, Yoo-jin said, letting the light fade. The knowledge was just there in my head this morning. like remembering something I forgot long ago. Do-hyun pulled out his phone and started making calls. Within an hour, his office was full of people again. Jin arrived with government officials. Kita came with more council members. It's happening everywhere, Jin reported. People are developing abilities they can't explain. The council is in panic. The builders didn't just leave us their knowledge, Kita said. They left us their power. This is what the council feared. But why now? Someone asked. Why is it all happening so fast? Do-hyun looked at the soil samples still sitting on his desk. The lights in them were moving faster now, almost urgent. Because whatever the builders were running from, he said, it's almost here, and they made sure we would be ready when it arrived. Yoo-jin held up her hand, making another ball of light. So what do we do now? Now, Do-hyun said, we learn everything the builders left us. Fast. Security Officer Mayro walked through the quiet halls of the Galactic Council's main building. It was late at night by Earth time, but she couldn't sleep. Something about the Council's reaction to human abilities bothered her. She reached the records room and used her security card to enter. As Earth's head of security for the Joint Investigation Team, she had access to most areas, but tonight she was looking for files that no one was supposed to see. Mayray sat at a computer terminal and started searching. She had noticed something strange in the council members' behavior. They weren't just afraid of humans gaining builder powers, they were acting like they had expected it. After an hour of searching, she found what she was looking for. Hidden deep in the council's secret files was a folder marked Earth Observation. 300 years of records. 300 years. Mayray whispered to herself. But they only contacted us last week. She opened the files and started reading. Her eyes grew wider with each page. The council had known about Earth all along. They had been watching humans for centuries, monitoring their development. But that wasn't all. The council had known about the builder machines in human DNA. They had known these powers would wake up one day, and they had tried to stop it. Mayray found reports of council ships secretly visiting Earth throughout history. They had tried to slow down human progress, causing accidents that destroyed important discoveries. They had even planted false information to keep humans from learning about their true nature. Looking for something, a voice said behind her. Mayray spun around. A council member stood in the doorway, one of the highest-ranking ones. His blue scales glowed softly in the dark room. You knew, Mayray said. You knew about us all along. Of course we knew, the council member said. We had to protect the galaxy. Do you understand how dangerous you humans are? You carry the power of the builders inside you. You tried to stop us from developing, Mayray said. Why? Because we remember the builders, he answered. Their power destroyed entire worlds. We thought if we could keep humans primitive enough, the machines in your DNA would never wake up. Mayray stood up slowly. But something changed your plan. Yes, the council member looked worried now. Our sensors detected them, the same enemy the builders fought. They're coming back, and this time, they're stronger. We realized we need you humans now, powers and all. So you finally contacted Earth, Mayray said, pretending it was the first time. We had no choice. But now your powers are waking up too fast. We can't control it anymore. Mayray felt anger rising inside her. You never could control it. The builders chose us for a reason. She reached for her phone to call Do-hyun, but the council member moved quickly. A weapon appeared in his hand. I'm sorry, he said, but this information can't leave this room. Mayray smiled. Like Yoo-jin and many others, she had felt new knowledge appearing in her mind lately. She raised her hand, and the weapon flew from the council member's grip into hers. You're right, she said. The builder's power can be dangerous, but they trusted us with it. Now you have to trust us too. She walked past the stunned council member, taking the files with her. It was time for everyone to know the truth. About the council, about the builders, and about the enemy that was coming. The real question was, did they have enough time to prepare? The emergency meeting room of the Galactic Council was in chaos. Representatives from 100 worlds were shouting at each other. In the center of the room, Taiwan, Earth's newly appointed council representative, stood calmly as the storm raged around him. "Earth has been deceived," shouted one alien diplomat, their tentacles waving in anger. "The council watched us for centuries and said nothing." "We had good reasons," another council member argued. "Human power is too dangerous to be left unchecked." Myre's discovery of the secret files had spread quickly. Now everyone knew the truth about the Council's long observation of Earth and their attempts to slow human progress. Taiwan raised his hand, and suddenly the room went quiet. Like many humans now, he had discovered he could do things that once seemed impossible. The Builder's powers were growing stronger each day. "We understand your fear," he said to the gathered aliens. "But Earth is not your enemy. The real enemy is coming, and we need to work together." "How can we trust humans with the Builder's power?" someone asked. "You could destroy us all." "If we wanted to destroy you, we would have done it already," Taiwan replied. "But that's not why the Builders chose us. They made us to protect the galaxy, not rule it." On the main screen behind him, images appeared from the Deathworlds. More Builder machines were waking up every day. Ancient structures were appearing from beneath the ground. The Builders had left more than just their power. They had left their technology too. 7 alien worlds have already broken ties with Earth, and Aid whispered to Taiwan, "They're afraid of us." Before Taiwan could respond, the room's lights turned red. Emergency alarms started blaring. Keita rushed into the room. "We've detected something at the edge of the galaxy," he said. "Something big." The main screen changed to show a dark mass moving through space. It was larger than anything they had ever seen. "The enemy the Builders warned us about?" Taiwan asked. Keita nodded. "They're 3 months away from reaching populated systems. Our weapons can't hurt them. We've tried." The room was silent now. Fear had replaced anger in every alien face. "This is why the Builders chose us," Taiwan said. "This is why they made the Deathworlds. They knew we would need to be strong to fight this enemy." He turned to face the council. "You can fear us and fight us, or you can trust us and let us protect you. But we don't have time for politics anymore. We need to prepare." One by one, the alien representatives started nodding. Even those who had opposed Earth began to understand. They had no choice now. "What do you need from us?" the council leader asked. "Access to all the Deathworlds," Taiwan said, "and your help to wake up everything the Builders left behind. We have 3 months to master their power and technology." "And if we can't?" someone asked. Taiwan looked at the dark mass on the screen. "Then everything the Builders tried to prevent will happen again. We can't let that happen." He felt the knowledge the Builders had left in his DNA stirring, showing him things he needed to know. Around the room, screens lit up with information about weapons, shields, and strange devices that no one had seen before. The Builders had prepared them for this moment. Now it was time to use everything they had left behind. Du Hyun stood with Keita at the entrance of a massive structure that had risen from beneath the ground on Deathworld 7. The building was made of a black material that seemed to absorb light, and strange symbols glowed along its walls. "Are you sure about this?" Keita asked. His silver skin reflected the glow of the symbols. "The other facilities we found were much smaller. This one feels different." "We don't have a choice," Du Hyun replied. "The enemy will reach the first populated systems in 2 months. We need everything the Builders left us." They had spent the last month visiting all 17 Deathworlds. On each one, ancient Builder facilities had appeared from underground. Each one taught them something new about Builder technology. But this facility was the biggest they had found. Du Hyun walked up to the entrance. As he got closer, the symbols on the walls glowed brighter. The facility was scanning his DNA, just like the others had. The door disappeared, opening into a dark hallway. Do-hyun and Ki-ta walked inside, following the glowing symbols that lit up to guide them. "Look at this," Ki-ta said, pointing to the walls. "These aren't just decorations. They're star maps." Do-hyun studied the glowing patterns. "You're right. They show the enemy's path through the galaxy." The builders knew exactly where they would come from. They'd reached a large round room in the center of the facility. As soon as Do-hyun stepped inside, the whole room came alive. Lights filled the air, forming images all around them. "It's the main control center," Do-hyun said. But before he could say more, knowledge started flooding into his mind. The builder machines in his DNA were connecting with the facility, teaching him things he never knew. "Do-hyun," Ki-ta called, worried. "Are you okay?" Do-hyun's eyes were glowing with the same light as the symbols on the walls. "I understand now," he said. "This isn't just a facility. It's a key." He walked to the center of the room and raised his hand. A beam of light shot from his palm into the air, and suddenly the room transformed. The walls seemed to disappear, showing them a view of all 17 Deathworlds at once. The builders didn't just make copies of Earth, Do-hyun explained as the knowledge filled his mind. They made pieces of a weapon. Each Deathworld is part of it. And humans, we're the ones meant to control it. Ki-ta watched in amazement as lines of energy appeared between the Deathworlds, forming a pattern. "What kind of weapon?" "The kind that can reshape reality," Do-hyun said. "The enemy the builders fought. They're not from our universe. They break through from somewhere else, destroying everything they touch. The builders created this weapon to seal the gaps between universes. But it didn't work for them," Ki-ta said. "No," Do-hyun agreed, "because the weapon needed something special to power it. It needed beings who could adapt to any world, any condition. It needed humans." The room showed them more images, the enemy breaking through into their galaxy, the builders fighting them, and finally, the builders creating humans. "We weren't just made to survive on Deathworlds," Do-hyun said. "We were made to save every world." The day of the battle came faster than anyone expected. Hee-jin stood in the Galactic Council's main chamber, watching screens that showed the enemy approaching. The dark mass now filled half the sky on the outer worlds. Humans from all over Earth had spread out to the 17 Deathworlds. Each person knew exactly where they needed to be, guided by the builders' knowledge in their DNA. On every world, ancient machines hummed with power, ready for their part in the plan. "All Deathworlds report ready," Taiwan announced from his position at the control panel. "Builder systems are at full power." Hee-jin looked around the room. The alien representatives who had once feared human power now watched in hope. Even the council members who had tried to keep humans weak stood with them now. "Enemy will reach the first system in 10 minutes," Ki-ta reported, his silver skin flashing with worried colors. Do-hyun's voice came through the communication system. He was on Deathworld 7, at the heart of the builder's weapon. "Remember everyone, we only get one chance at this. When I give the signal, every human must activate their facility at exactly the same time." Hee-jin touched the screen showing Earth. Millions of lights shone on the surface, builder machines that had hidden beneath the ground for millions of years. Earth wasn't just another Deathworld. It was the control center for everything the builders had planned. 5 minutes, Ki-ta called out. Around the room, screens showed humans on every Deathworld taking their positions. The knowledge the builders had left them had grown stronger every day. Now they moved like they had trained for this moment their whole lives. "Enemy entering the first system," someone announced. The dark mass began to tear space itself, creating holes between universes. Through the holes, strange shapes moved, impossible things that hurt the eyes to look at. "Now," Do-hyun's voice rang out. On all 17 Deathworlds, humans raised their hands at once. Builder machines responded to their commands, sending beams of light into space. The beams connected, forming a web of energy between the worlds. Hejin felt the builder knowledge surge through her body. She knew exactly what to do. On Earth, she pressed her hand to the main control panel. Energy flowed from every human on the planet, through the ancient machines, and into space. The web of energy began to glow brighter. Where it touched the holes between universes, they began to close. The enemy fought back, trying to tear new holes, but the weapon was too strong. "It's working," Kitai shouted. The dark mass was being pushed back, forced to retreat through the closing holes. Finally, with a flash of light that lit up half the galaxy, the last hole sealed. The enemy was gone, locked out of their universe forever. In the silence that followed, Hejin looked at the screens showing all 17 Deathworlds. The builders had planned everything perfectly. They had created the worlds, created humans, and waited millions of years for this moment. "What now?" Taiwan asked quietly. Hejin smiled. "Now we do what the builders meant us to do. We protect these worlds. We help other species grow stronger, and we make sure the enemy never breaks through again." Around the room, the alien representatives nodded. They understood now why the builders had chosen humans. Not because humans were perfect, but because they would never stop fighting to protect others. A new age was beginning, and this time, no one would face the darkness alone.